Do you consider yourself an intellectual, Will?
Not an intellectual. I'm intellectually curious, I'd like to say. Why?
Okay.
What's that?
So no, I just read this Aldous Huxley quote the other day. And it said, an intellectual is someone who's found something more interesting than sex. It's very funny when you answered you're intellectually curious.
When someone's found
What have you got in the bag?
I've got a present for you.
Oh, on the pod.
On the pod. I waited to give it to you on the pod. I feel like this episode
Full of surprises.
might be a little bit contentious, this one.
No.
So I thought I'd extend an olive branch, first of all. I got you a little tape.
Art Garfunkel, I love it.
The Art Garfunkel album.
At first I thought it was like Jerry Seinfeld or something. Hold that to the camera. There you go.
Art Garfunkel guy, this.
I love a bit of art. There's that one album where it's like, I've seen it, there's the Leonard Cohen was Death of the Ladies Man, and it's like him and all these ladies in a table, and then there's one of Art Garfunkel. Great.
Did you listen to that one?
Never. What a Wonderful World, that's a cover.
Oh, well, nice.
I Believe When I Fall in Love It Will Be Forever, Stevie Wonder obviously, that's a cover.
Wow. God, art's just...
I don't know any of the other songs,
he didn't write
but...
songs.
Oh, and the little clip, it kind of just falls apart.
Oh dear. Well,
The Art Garfunkel album, ladies and gentlemen.
I bought that for 50p in a store called the Junk Emporium.
Thank you, mate. The Junk Emporium. They don't know a good Art Garfunkel album if it slapped them in the face. I'm gonna put that back here.
Nice.
Pride and Joy.
Pride and Joy. Hopefully I can see it on the camera.
Actually, yeah. See. Thank you, Will.
That's okay, buddy.
Wow.
So welcome back to Old Man Media.
With your hosts Paul Buchanan and Will Ragg.
Will Ragg, that's me.
I guess we're gonna hop right into the contention. This week's episode is about
Bill
Callaghan's latest album, Days of 28.
Days of 58, isn't it?
Days of 58.
Can't even get you're the one that suggested this as well.
I heard this album and I was taken away. I thought it was fantastic. I love Bill Callaghan. I've got a little album up behind with gold record.
Can read that.
It's Bill Callahan gold record, but yeah, you can't really see that on this pixelated webcam camera. But one day when we hit the big leagues, we're going to upgrade the gear. We're going to have 1080p 4K opinions. And
we have well-formulated opinions. It's not what we've got now.
I'll probably get the title of the album correct in the opening sequence. But yeah, Days of 58 by Bill Callaghan.
It came out, a month ago or so?
Came out about a month ago. Came out in February. Bill Callaghan has been making music since the late 80s under the name Smog. He started out...
Is that just him? Or
it's all just him.
Oh, is it?
It started out and it was just him with a 4-track tape machine. And yeah, all very, very poor quality. It's really fun. I was reading this Rolling Stone interview that they did with him. It's pretty much one that I will refer to a few times in this podcast because it's got a lot of like juicy information that relates to what we're talking about. But they go, how do your early albums like Sewn to the Sky, which is his first album, and Julius Caesar sound to you now? And he goes, I mean, they sound like shit because they're recorded on 4-track. It's all very lo-fi sensibilities. But it got better and better. He got into a real studio for Dongs of Savotion, which is the album with Dress Sexy at My Funeral on it.
Yeah.
And also there's another album called Knock Knock with a cat and thunder.
Yeah, I like that album.
Fantastic cover. Lots of good songs in that album. Funny enough, that gold record up here, that was released, I want to say, 21, and that's got a cover of a song off that album. So it's got a cover of one of his own songs, but 20 years apart. Let's Move to the Country.
Yeah, I always find that quite interesting when artists like redo old songs and try and find different ways of doing them with like different techniques they've learned or whatever.
I mean, the biggest and best one for me is Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what song's that?
She does Both Sides Now.
Okay.
But there's the first, obviously, version which is younger and it's more folky and 70s and it's very very pretty. And then she has her album Both Sides Now and she redoes it and it's slower, more big band, and it's kind of like that whole like Bob Dylan redoing his own songs later on. But I think for me that's like a fan. I don't know which album I like, which version I like more. I feel like if you're in a good mood and you want to like kind of be reflective, but in a positive light, then Both Sides Now, the earliest one, is quite good. But then you've got the later version, which is like, I don't know, because to write that song at 23, it's like or whatever age she was when she wrote it, you know, it's like, I've seen love from both sides now. Then she redoes it and she's like 50 and just like, oh no, you really have seen love from both sides now, you know, you've been through it all.
Yeah.
And of course, Love Actually, there's that scene where she's finds out about the affair because she thinks she's getting the necklace, and then she opens
she gets the
Both Sides Now, Joni Mitchell, and she goes and...
Is that the song playing?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Cinema.
What a terrible film.
Well, disagree. I think it's a good film. I think it's a 3.5 out of 5. Solid.
I don't know what is going on at any point in that. It's just
love and stories, and love is all around us. I feel it in my fingers. It's quintessentially British. It's quintessentially feel good. It's Hugh Grant as some.
I love Hugh Grant, but I just think that film is
Jump for my love. No.
no, I just.
All right. Well, back to Bill Callahans.
Yeah. What's to do with the Love Actually?
Yeah, I found it interesting as well. His progression from the lo-fi tape days. He was a bit of a recluse. He in the early days he was very unapproachable. He only did interviews by fax. Yeah.
What?
Just like didn't want to talk to anyone. Was like complete recluse. Wrote weird but introspective songs. And then he changed his name from Smog to Bill Callahans in 2007 when I think the story is that he had a kid and his wife was working, so for 2 years he was just a stay-at-home dad to this baby, and he was like, well, I couldn't really justify going off to make music when I had to raise a child.
Yeah.
So he came back with the name change, and the album was like Sheepskin. Let me just pull this up. I'll say like something sheepskin jacket. Oh no, that was in 2019. Never mind. Woke on a Whale Heart. Maybe I'm mixing up stories here because I know he got writer's block after he had a child and stuff.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I think writer's block is a theme that comes quite heavily into his music in terms of like how he kind of develops the creative process and then sort of makes the creative process part of the creation, I'd say. In terms of like, I know on this album it's a little bit like, you know, kind of like very playful.
I think you can tell he gets writer's block at times.
Yeah, but it's
he
like
just
the way
himself
the way that he deals with that is like I think it's quite impressive. And you know, he doesn't really write a song that's like verse, chorus. I mean, in the early Smog days, sure, you've got Dress Sexy at My Funeral, and you've got Cold Blooded Old Times, and you know, many more, Ex-Con, and all these songs that have chorus, a bit more of a, but like under Bill Callahans, a lot of it is just like, you know, how can I write a song without a chorus? And some of them are fantastic. Like one of my favorite is Too Many Birds, and it's like too many birds on one tree, and then like kind of the whole song kind of moves along, and at the end he does this process where he just starts with one word, and then it goes round the whole musical sequence of like, you know, a few bars, 4 bars, whatever, and then it comes back and then it adds another word, and then basically it goes if only you could, and then it goes on for like literally a minute until he's got the whole sequence of like, if only you could stop your heartbeat for one heartbeat or something like that, and it's like, I don't know, you're just in it, and it's like very unusual. And then you look at the lyric sheet, and it's actually like, it looks like a tree, and the song's called Too Many Birds in One Tree. So I was like, yeah, excellent, I love it.
Genius.
It works on a listening level, and it works on a like, you know, physical reading level. So it's, yeah, I just think Bill Callahans is fantastic in terms of his experimentalism and like approach to songwriting. But yeah, your thoughts?
I am gonna say how do I put this? I get a bit tired of albums when it's every song sounds the same.
Okay.
And it doesn't really sound like he's found something he likes doing, and he just keeps doing it, and instrumentally, and it felt very monotonous, very repetitive, and and I've just got to say, I think I like sad music. I'm not opposed to that. Like, I mean, I'm a big George Jones fan, but it's just a whole hour of just nothing but sad, mopey.
It's not that sad, is it? It's reflective, but I don't get sadness from this album.
It feels very mopey to me.
Fair enough.
And I don't know. It has its charms. I like Knock Knock. You know, and I like some of the songs on this album. Like I'm not going to dismiss it all out of hand, but I also. It's hard. It was very hard to distinguish. Like, going over it again and trying to think through my notes, it was very hard to distinguish song from a song. What was what?
I do agree on some wavelength. But I think the first time I listened to this album, I listened to it on a car journey, and I wasn't driving. I was just kind of sleeping in the back, and I had it on, and I wasn't paying attention to the track list. But I think there are some albums that are better enjoyed that way. And some albums which should, like, to be honest, that experience is nice. It's new. It's out of the ordinary. You know, it's novel. It's not. You're not just like a lot of the way that we consume music in this day and age is like, oh, there's this hit single, and then maybe that will draw you in. It's like the sometimes a song is the promo for the actual thing instead of the actual thing just being the thing. And I feel like, I don't know, it's nice to be able to digest a whole album, and like. I probably I do enjoy this album more listening end to end than I do. I don't really listen to like a song off this album out of context, except for maybe the first one, Why Do Men Sing, or Pathology as well. I quite like, but I find myself enjoying the long play format, and I like the fact that it's an album that forces you to do that in a day and age where, you know, a lot of people maybe don't have time for that. And I think it speaks volumes to his cult following that he's got, that he's able to do that and that people enjoy that, you know. And I think it speaks volumes to his power as a songwriter and, you know, confidence in his own artistic vision.
Yeah, I mean, I do see that. But I don't know, there were times. One song I really liked was it Highway Born? What's the song? Highway Born? And I really liked it because he gets the pedal steel in. There's something a bit different about the song. And then he also makes like the pedal steel sound like passing cars. Like, I thought that was great. That was really interesting. The lyrics, like, it does sound like, I read a little bit about him and it said he's like, he plays around with Americana and what does Americana mean in this day and age and these kinds of things. And I think that song most encapsulated that for me. And you know, what's more American or more Americana than the highway? And I can't remember the lyrics of the song now, but I remember them.
It goes, was it? We're born between towns without the pedal with the pedal down. How am I ever going to settle down?
Yeah,
and
I think it's quite good. It's quite interesting, and I really thought that was a real high point in the album for me.
Yeah. And it's definitely got some of the Americanisms, and there's a few times in this album there's this like little guitar like that country, which I've adopted to using a lot in my music sometimes, where you just like you bend the string and then you hit. I don't know the specific theory for it, to be honest, but I guess I think they're called double stops or something. But some guitar nerd out there is going to correct me. But yeah, it's like kind of country bends. And like bouncing off of a sort of anchoring note, I guess, and it is used a lot on this album. But I love that.
And there was another song on the album as well that like the instrumental was something different, and it was Computer, I think it was.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit more like dark and mysterious.
Yeah, he was doing something different instead of just the.
And there's like
same
the
shit he's been doing the rest of the album. And then I read the lyrics to that song. Have you read the lyrics to the song Computer?
I've listened to them.
It's old man yells at clouds.
Yeah, it's so good. That's what I need. Another reason.
I use my computer to pass the time, search for whatever crosses my mind. It really brings out the worst in me. I read things I shouldn't read. I've seen things no man should ever see. He sounds like, you know, when you're in year 8 and you go on the IT computer and you're like, ISIS beheadings. It's just like...
No, he's basically just like, he's commenting on, it feels retro in the way that he approaches it, but I don't actually even think, I think he's using it as like that romanticism of the old age of computers, but then also kind of commenting on AI, and then at the end, there's like a round, he talks about how he doesn't want, he's like, auto-tune, I don't want to hear it.
That as well, that really fucking annoyed me.
No, I thought you'd relate to that, and I think he's talking about how he wants to hear... what's the exact line? I'll see if I've written it down in my
it's
notes.
something stupid.
Yeah, it's like it says auto-tune. I don't want to hear it. Satisfied being subdued by something without a spirit. Maybe it does seem a bit to younger people who we've lived and grown up with all this shit. But I think he's got a point. I think some of this like technology is taking us further away from our own human spirit. And I think, in terms of imperfections and and humanness, so much music that you hear day to day is just like compressed, fucking like electronically processed kind of. And don't get me wrong, I love a bit of experimental electronic music, but I think when the point of it is to erase any imperfections, I think that's when you're kind of it's like, or make a human sound better than a raw human voice, and trying to strive for like the Uberman,
No, I agree wholeheartedly with the sentiment. I think it's always really interesting when Jack White talks about albums being on vinyl, and that you can hear if the it's like that Beatles song, Helter Skelter, where at the end Ringo shouts, "I've got blisters on my fingers," whatever, and it's just like you get real human, like there's errors in there, but there's also art, there's beauty in it, but you capture a real moment in time, and it's committed forever, right? And then that's great, but it's the way he goes about. As you just say, I don't want auto-tune in my song. Like just the mopey voice, the way he goes about it. I
don't know. I think that's his whole style. He's always he is a very like conversational, very like you have to step inside and slow down a bit and get on his level, and meditative, slow, pensive, and calm, almost very subdued. But I've always enjoyed that, and I've always felt like, once you start to get on that level, you feel quite rewarded by it. And I think, paired with the music that's going on around it, that a lot of the times I end up coming out satisfied. But this album is it's not very different, but it's different from stuff he's done previously because it's all recorded live, which is something he's not really attempted to do in a studio sense of like, this is a studio album. He's recorded live albums where it's like a redo of songs, or previously studio release. But I think this is the first time they've ever done like live takes in an album.
Wait, do you mean this was performed in front of a crowd?
No, I mean it's just like live takes.
Right.
Most albums is just like, lay down the drum track.
Yeah.
Then you lay down. And just go back on what you said about Ringo as well. Like, it might have captured a moment in time, but you've also got to think the Beatles were, maybe they're using a bit of this take, a bit of that take, a bit of this take for some things. And I think it can be, like real moments can all be collaged together to create something. But I don't know. I just think like that sometimes we go too far, and I just think it's like, for me as someone who likes the music I like, I feel like I listen to the radio and I feel like isolated and like alienated from the world because some of the shit that's on there,
Yeah, I mean, I think particularly for the past 15 years, the radio music has been particularly bad. It's just been overproduced. Really just sounds like all songs sound the same, and it's just auto-tuned to the max. I really have disliked it, but I think I don't want to like there is some good stuff like pop music. Like I'm not saying like I just think like you take a snapshot of like you've got Radio 1 on your way to work and it's just like it's like shooting out double, triple compressed, by the radio's own compressors, and then it's just like, I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes it just seems like circus music, and you've just got like, I want to grind on your body, I want to get my big body in your face, and you're like, whoa, and it's auto tuned to fuck, and you're like, is there a human being involved in this fucking song? Like, if there is, you need what are you doing with your life? Yeah, I mean, I think, but to add to that, I think someone like Charlie XCX uses that quite well.
Yeah,
I didn't enjoy all of it, but in parts of Brat, I actually did. I think I'd listen to in my spare time, there are other albums, like pop albums, I enjoy. I mean, I enjoy some of Billie Eilish's stuff.
Yeah, no, I
but
agree.
It's also, but we also live in an age where
those are the exceptions, though. The real pop artists are like the factory produced like schlop.
Yeah, but we live in an age where you can shut that out quite easily.
Yeah, until you listen to the radio.
Yeah, well, until you're forced into the radio at work. But like, you can put earphones in, can't you?
Yeah, I know.
It's like it's not. We don't live in an age anymore where what you listen to is entirely dictated by the radio.
But it's a shame that we were living in an age where a lot, where the main forces at work and in the world are projecting a certain type of music, and it's the culture is like dying in a way because we're all just living in our own little headphone secluded world.
Yeah.
Because rightly so, when you take out your headphones, the shit you hear is pretty crap. So it just feels like as a unifying art form, it's becoming very divisive in terms of I don't know when the next artist could be to come along and just like knock down the walls and boundaries a bit, if that's even possible. Like the Beatles were appealed to a huge number of people, and still that's why they keep their relevance. But I think they're very musically, that their songs have so much musical virtue and merit. So yeah, but anyway, getting sidetracked here. The album, I kind of wanted to go by song. If you're down for that.
I mean, I'm not sure I'll remember all of them. But
I've got my notes here. I've got a lot to say on each song on this album, which makes me personally think it's successfully vibe with me, and I think it's a good piece of art. Even if you don't like it, we can talk about it, and I think that's important in terms of this. But it's like, maybe it started with MC Hammer's "I Like Big Butts and I Cannot Lie," but could we do a cultural analysis of that song for like a whole hour? Probably not, and that's how I feel about a lot of the stuff on the radio today. To end what we were talking about earlier.
Oh right, okay. It's like, why did he bring up? I'm sure Bill Callahans didn't do a cover of that on this album.
Whoa! Next, Bill, if you listen to this, you know what we want to hear. Before we get into the track list as well, the album's Days of 58. Bill Callahan is 58 years old. 59 now, but 58 at the time of recording this. And I found it quite funny on the... he said the album title... He was like, it's almost taboo for like musicians to reveal their age in this sort of market. Yeah. He was like, his son gave him the name, and he said it was a strange thing to come out of a 10-year-old boy that hates to read and likes gaming and The Simpsons. I don't know where he got that, but it fit perfectly. So yeah, his son, and he later on a song he goes to talk about his son and his family, which I find quite sweet. But yeah, the whole album very reflective of his life and career. And like I said, sort of the creative process is, one whole listen it's literally what I've written here is my how I think this album should be experienced. I think that it really works in its favour. I find the vocals to be actually particularly playful for Bill Callahan.
This is playful. I mean, I've not listened to a lot of Bill Callahan, but if that's playful, I think
because a lot of it is very conversational.
I'm okay.
In his other stuff, but. There's that song where at the end he does the little laugh. He goes hee hee at the end. And I'm like, you know what? He doesn't really go out of his way that much. And there's also some religious imagery on this song,
right?
Which on this album, which as you're approaching that age, you do start to consider if you're going to meet, the old man at the gates of hell or heaven.
Something about mortality.
But yeah, the first song, "Why Do Men Sing?" the first one I heard, and yeah, I loved it. I thought there's like sort of the backing vocals really made this album for me. The woman's vocals are really great. I thought she comes in and she's like sort of, "Why do men sing?"
And they say that over and over and over again.
Yeah. Oh. I like repetition of music's important, and a lot of good music has repetition, choruses, hooks. And I think he's kind of driving in, it's kind of an ironic thing because he's singing "Why Do Men Sing" over and over again. You're like, why are you singing this over and over again?
I don't know. I think it's an interesting question, and but this is another thing I wrote down that he is getting at something interesting, but at the same time, I don't care to dive any deeper into it because the way he presents it's just so boring to me.
I agree to disagree. But yeah, this song feels, he references Lou Reed in it, and it made me realise that maybe Lou Reed's a big influence on Bill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like, Coney Island Baby, that kind of, like, that song in particular, it's like 7 or 8 minutes long, and it's like, the lyrics is like, put me in, coach, and, it's all like a little bit like long looming, just conversational, and, very similar to Bill's style. But yeah, he's got that, there's like that, he talks about in this song, and he talks about Lou, seeing Lou all dressed in white, and he's like, what does he say? He's like, where did you lead me to, Lou, or something, which is kind of like him reflecting on maybe his path of songwriting, and being led by Lou Reed to a place that he's not really sure on, which maybe is where he's getting lost in his creative process. But yeah, from that Rolling Stone interview, it says, I had a dream about him after he died, which is in the song. I think it's really important to celebrate the people that came before you. I use a lot of Lou Reed's chord progressions. I mean, the ones that everybody uses, they're kind of like sacred geometry. It always means something. I've got a postcard I'm looking at right now that Lou wrote to a friend of his that became a friend of mine later. They would send each other CDs in the early 2000s, and she'd sent him a Smog thing, and he's raving about it on his postcard, and he sent it to her. Doesn't say which album, but it was probably Rain on the Lens, released in 2001. Got it framed on my wall right there. What a massive achievement, right?
Yeah,
Imagine
really
like
cool.
being influenced by someone and then years later finding out that they'd written and spoke highly of your work after they passed.
Yeah, it reminds me of Billy Swan, the guy who did If You Need Help. What's the song he did? But he like dedicated a whole album to Elvis.
Yeah.
And he covered 2 Elvis songs on that album, and then I Can Help, and then Elvis goes and covers I Can Help. It's pretty cool. Anyway, one thing I was gonna bring up really quickly because you brought up Lou Reed, late Lou Reed. Have you seen his last Facebook post?
No.
Hold on, let me pull it up quickly. This might take a second.
I hope we're not going to besmirch a man that I deeply care about.
Oh, here we go. I found it straight away. It's on Reddit. Hold on. Right, so Lou Reed's final message to fans posted... Right, it features a version of everyone's favourite book horse, Twilight Sparkle. So this is a My Little Pony thing?
Right.
Superimposed over the traditional cover art of his controversial 1975 album Metal Machine Music. It had featured Lou Reed wearing an outfit that was pioneeringly punk rock, and to which time-displaced Twilight's outfit was visually similar. Lou Reed is most... there you go. Yeah, that was his last Facebook post before he died. Hold on, there you go.
I'll pull that up in post, but yeah, that's quite something. I mean, that's the most Lou Reed thing ever, to be fair. I love that. Metal Machine Music, have you listened to it?
I haven't listened to it.
So famously, I'm not sure if it was to get out of a recording contract or if it was... I've heard variations of the story, but it's it looks like it's going to be a rock and roll punk album. It looks cool as fuck. Like, the marketing, everything's amazing. And then people bought this album, put it in, and it's literally... I shit you not, it's just him with his jack cable putting his thumb on it and it's going bzzz, 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 for like an hour, and he's called it like experimental noise music, and so many people bought that album and got so pissed off, and it's like the biggest kind of, it's like the first Rick Roll, if you will. Which even Rick Roll's an outdate. What's the new kind of Rick Roll?
I don't know.
Getting punked, getting MTV punks. Even that's fucking older than Rick Roll. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's right in if there's any
That's a big
hip
thing
kids, 6, 7. Oh mate, we need to edit that out. I don't want to be. I don't want to be caught saying that. Anyway, second song in the album, Man I'm Supposed to Be. Very dark song, I think. You've got like dun-na, dun-na. It's like stabs on an acoustic guitar. Feels like. Yeah, it feels like if you had more distortion on this song, it would be like a thrash or doom metal-y kind of. You ring any bells?
I know. I don't really remember this song.
I don't want to be the man that I am. da-da-da-da-da-da. He's like, anyway, it's called Man I'm Supposed to Be, and he's kind of wrestling with his identity in his past, and wishing he could be a bit different sometimes. It's just a very human sentiment, I think. Moore's working on improving stuff, music, podcasting.
Yeah, maybe Bill Callahans should do some more improving.
You can have your Art Garfunkel back. It doesn't really help.
We told you to get contentious, guys. We're still friends. It's okay.
I think the point Bill is making on this one is that when you stop trying to improve and change, you accept death, which is where there's that line. It's like we take life seriously, laugh in the face of death.
No, I really don't remember any of this. It all kind of faded into
Take life seriously. Laugh. It's one of those bits where he repeats it, and then at the end it goes like, and then he laughs and he goes hee hee at the end, and then that's like one of the bits where I'm like, oh, it's a bit playful vocals for him. But yeah, and even that line, we take life seriously and laugh in the face of death. Well, maybe we should do the other thing, the other way around. Have a bit of a laugh in life, and then maybe be like, shit, death's coming. That's bad, and that will always be bad. And yeah, I think the song talks about he's scared of kind of stopping trying to become the man he's supposed to be. He's always striving to change and be better, and I think that's a very profound sentiment on life. And I think he is right in that once you stop trying to improve things, even as a 50 or 8-year-old man, if you stop striving to push yourself, how far can you go? Then yeah, it is kind of just accepting death. And yeah, I mean, for me, it's thinking that from my perspective, I think this album was one of his most creatively ambitious lyrically and musically. And yeah, I think from my perspective, it kind of reminds me of how it was at Miyazaki's latest film, where that's it just, for me, that's a masterpiece as well. It's like, oh, you guys really do keep getting better and better. Where I don't know. Whereas some artists, I don't know.
Yeah,
Age Like
some
Milk.
artists. I mean, Scorsese's still doing it.
I was gonna say Scorsese came to my mind. I wouldn't say he's aged like milk, but I really didn't enjoy Killers of the Flower Moon.
I thought it was still good.
I thought it was okay. I thought maybe I don't think for me it wouldn't win many awards in my Oscars in my bedroom, but. But Bill Callahan would get some serious Grammys. So, third track on the album is Pathol O.G.
I hate the title of this song especially.
I love it, man. Just fucking just send it. Just send it, man. You're 58 and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna call it Pathol O.G. I'm smart. I like it. I think, yeah, I did have reservations when I sent you this album for the podcast. I was like, there is a chance that he just thinks it's a little bit pretentious.
What? This podcast?
This album.
Oh, what he does? What we do?
You.
Oh, yeah, I definitely do, yeah. But, yeah. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
For me, Pathology is a standout track. For me, that's one of the best songs on the album. Do you remember what goes on in that track?
Oh, you're going to have to remind me.
It's he's reflecting on his music career, and he talks about how he starts recording songs as a way to kind of connect with himself and express himself and other people. And then, he goes on tour and stuff, and he starts, I don't know, just basically talks about how he sort of built his life and his community through his music. And it's one lyric where he's like, I remember one girl in Tennessee, where girls in songs always tend to be. And then there's a little country lick I was talking about earlier, the double stop, and I was like, yeah, it's just it's so wistful and playful, and I think I'm on board for it. I
think I'd rather hear you sing a Bill Callahan album. I think I'd listen to that more.
I'll do that, yeah. And there's the later on he talks. There's a phrase he uses: "Treat your lifeboat like a yacht," which is his sort of reflecting on his art. There's a.
Oh, your lifeboat like a yacht. Okay, right. Okay, sorry.
So he kind of talks about how at the beginning, maybe it was like a lifeboat, as in it's literally that was his only way out, and now he's like, He's kind of fucking made it, and he's like, well, now I need to treat it like a yacht and just like hang out and have a good time, and cool songs, Pathol, OG, and I don't know. Like, I think there's just like a lot of like wisdom in him. I think from this album, I think you can pick out lines like that and think about them for a long time. Personally, I'm gonna pull up the lyrics to this song because there's another line I don't want to butcher, but I want to. I mean, it's the title of the. Yeah, he's like. Yeah, so it's like as time wore on, I found myself increasingly turning to my guitar instead of other people in times of loneliness, which is the exact opposite reason of why I got into this in the first place. And I started to wonder, is this creativity or pathology?
Say that again, sorry.
So he starts to turn to his guitar and instead of other people in times of loneliness and sorrow and confusion. So like I said earlier, instead of reaching out and using it as a way to connect with people, he's using it as a way to turn inward.
Right, okay.
And then he starts to wonder, is this creativity or pathology? Which I think is a profound kind of comment on the creative process itself.
Yeah.
And it's and then he goes, am I the Pathol OG, the original?
Fucking hell.
It's kind of like rap bars, isn't it? But I don't know. I just think
rappers were the most annoying people ever.
Always one foot on the ladder to heaven, and then Jacob's ladder he starts to repeat, which is another sort of that's a religious reference to the ladder to heaven.
Yeah.
And he's I mean, life is Jacob's ladder,
Yeah.
if you believe that you're going to heaven at the end of it. But
I get confused between Jacob's Ladder and Sophie's Choice. I don't know why. Which one's Jacob's Ladder?
what do you mean?
Oh, it's Jacob's Ladder to Heaven, isn't it? But there's a film, Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, isn't it kind of like
I get confused.
Jumanji or something?
What?
I don't know.
I've not seen the film.
I just realised I was misreading the lyrics. It's important to not treat your lifeboat like a yacht.
Oh. God, well that changes everything.
Yeah. My meaning's been turned upside down.
Oh.
So he's saying you shouldn't treat your lifeboat like a yacht. You shouldn't get too comfortable. Maybe that's another part of the creative process slipping away. You're like, I got too comfortable here. Yeah. Lay that ladder down, boy. Lay that ladder down. Lay that ladder down. There is actually, yeah. So you sing it's important to not treat your lifeboat like a yacht. What does that mean to you? Bill Callahans says, making music really was my lifeboat, but then as my career progressed, I started to realise I was going through the motions, or going to my studio, playing guitar as an avoidant thing, when there was so much other stuff I was responsible for that I should have been taken care of. But you have this golden pass if you're like, well, I'm an artist, I can't take the car in for an oil change. So that was what I was thinking about. But obviously, having kids made that pure artist life not attainable anymore, and taught me there's a finite amount of creativity that gets loaded into you, so I don't really need to be sitting here 12 hours a day. I can do it in 5. And it was also just realising a well-rounded life gives you so much back. So if I'm just sitting here all the time, then I'm boring as hell. I don't have anything to talk about or think about. But if I've taken extra care of the house and socialising and exercising and all the things that I would tend to neglect back in the day, those things only add to my well-roundedness as a human. Which, I'm sure your thoughts are the opposite, but...
No, I think he definitely has a point. And I've tried to make in my own life, I've tried to make a real effort to not just fucking laze around the house and watch films all day. So
don't treat your lifeboat like a yacht. Not having that as the only thing in your life. Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to do that when you aren't working a job that makes you very much money. Do you know what I mean? You have to work all the time, or you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Then you're kind of just forced onto the rowboat of media.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like that is the ideal way, but that's not necessarily.
Bro, you're just he's on this lifeboat and you're swimming.
It's not necessarily
you're drowning
like
from the Titanic. You're on the bottom floor of the Titanic and it's filling up with water. That's my analogy for working a minimum wage job.
Yeah. Sorry, we can't all be successful musicians that have time to work 5 hours a day and then clean the house.
Yeah. Next song, Stepping Out for Air. You know, he's talking about, you know, got to learn to see beauty in the grey. There's another thing, he talks Zoloft Pines. It talks about Zoloft Pines. I don't know.
Well, Zoloft is a drug, isn't it?
Antidepressant, yeah. Don't know what it means, but it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting image.
Stepping out for air so I don't drown, you know, there's these grand overarching themes, musing and reflections on life. He's battling in mental illness, you know, he's like, the answer isn't sitting in this chair. And then he's talking about Gabriel, come blow your horn. You know, Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, will famously blow his horn just before Judgment Day.
I just remembered something. Sorry, just to bring this back to something we talked about in a different episode. But there was a really good Fred Neil quote about Gabriel's horn, and he's like, he gets really stoned back when he's like doing loads of heroin. He does heroin, and he turns to someone he's doing it with, and he goes, "What if Gabriel's horn, the last sound, the earth of the earth, or something like that?" I thought that was pretty cool.
Right. Sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, fuck, I'd have to find it. I haven't got the book on me. But he says something like, yeah, what if...
Wait, Gabriel's... you said this out loud in an episode?
No, I didn't say it. I forgot to say it.
Alright. Okay. We'll pull that up. Next song, Lonely City, which I kind of relate to as someone who's just moved back to the countryside. It's called...
Yeah, I remember listening to this song and thinking it was particularly bad.
Really?
Yeah.
The lead guitars are really cool. They're like, you know, there's some kind of Phrygian mode or something. You know, me and Will are both country boys, and you know, I think we can relate to the loneliness that you find in the city. It can be a very unique and almost like worse loneliness because you're like, I'm surrounded by people. Why do I feel lonely? And
incredibly isolating.
Yeah,
I'd be in the South Downs, baby.
Yeah, I don't suffer from it as much when I've got the big old green plains around me. Female vocals again were hitting for me on this track. I really need to find out this. I got her name written down somewhere.
I was really surprised to learn that Smog was just Bill Callahans. Yeah, I assumed there was more other people doing that. I assumed did he have other musicians on the songs, or was it just him?
I think sometimes he might have gotten a musician in, pedal steel musician.
It's crazy that though. The other reason I assumed that it was a band, not just him, is because it sounds like, I mean, obviously not with 99, but that was 27 years ago. But I don't know. It just kind of the songwriting is like almost completely different, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, there is this start. I mean, there's a reason he changed names and he sort of went to this more mature kind of sound and less, you know, more sort of experimental form in songwriting and more lyrics based as well. I think he really is heavy on lyrics in this point in his career. But yeah, I thought it was interesting as well how the drum tones changed throughout the song. It started with like a kind of muted drum sound on this song, and then like they had two towers over the snare or something, and then later on. It was like a fully open kit, and I was like, either these drums are so well recorded, or it's like a MIDI, a really like a nice MIDI kit because of just how like consistent they sounded. But yeah, next song, Empathy. This is a big cut on the album for me. I think kind of as you know, he's a 50-year-old man and he's got a family, reflecting on his relationship with his own father. You know, and he's like, there's like a line, it's like, you got by without a father, so why should I have one? And he talks about the only time he got his dad's respects was when he showed him a $3,000 check from a show that he did in New York, and he was like, that was the, you know, and it's like that's quite a shallow way to be impressed by your son, I think, and it's like, you know, it's kind of reflects like the difficult relationship he might have had with his father, the fact that that was the only way that he could impress him was, you know, money. But yeah, he also reflects on, you know, he reflects on his like relationship with his own children in the song. You know, his like, my son has empathy, or no, his daughter makes beauty, and his son makes empathy. And I think it's like a really nice ode to his children, and like the kind of the fact that you can learn from your own children, you can learn from people younger than you, and you know, being old doesn't mean that you know better than young youth. You know. Yeah.
I remember reading the lyrics to this one as well and thinking they were pretty Pretty bad. It's just like, to me, I think also part of this is I just looked here at the album list, and we're not even halfway through. It's just the album's too long. For me, I think is the major problem I have with it. Is that actually, if this was half an hour, not too bad. I maybe would have enjoyed this a bit more. It's just the fact that I got halfway through and thought, oh, is it nearly over? And it wasn't. And I just like that. I looked at the fact that it was an hour beforehand, and I was already like, oh god, this could be a bit tough. And then I started listening to the first 4 songs, and they all sounded the same, and I was like, oh, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah, maybe not. But yeah, I don't know. There's a line on this song, and it's like, "Dad, I'm a lot like you," and it goes, "I added these lines last. I don't know if they're true." And I think there's something genius about even putting that in the song, like putting, I don't know if I wrote these lines last. I don't know if they're true, and it's kind of like he's putting it down. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this down now, otherwise I might not feel this way tomorrow." And it's kind of reflects a very like fleeting moment, and I think it's like quite a cool device to use as a lyric writer, just being like, I literally am putting these in last, and I don't know if they're true, and it's kind of like being kind of smirching the meaning, kind of like obscuring his vulnerability, which is a very human thing. And then, there's he broke his toe, so he couldn't go to this the father-daughter dance. And then he talks about his son, and he's like, well, when I got back from the road, he hugged me so hard I lost my hat. There's lots of sweet musings on life that make you think maybe being 58 isn't going to be so bad. West Texas, you remember this song?
Vaguely.
Violins feature heavy on the song, and they really add a lot. I really like the lead guitar. And yeah, instrumentally, it's just like a fantastic track. Huge build crescendo at the end. The lyrics are kind of less to dissect, in my opinion. Just an homage to West Texas. We've got Computer, and I sort of wrote noisy experimental sounds, kind of Tom Waitsy.
Yeah, I liked some of the instrumental on this one. I thought it was really interesting, and I thought that was the first time I perked up, and I was like, oh, he's done something a bit different. And then I read the lyrics to it, and I was like, what?
It isn't an old man's rambling on the internet and technology. I've written that down here before we talked about it today.
Yeah, I think there is a lot to be said about the internet and how we interact with it and how it shapes our view of life. And I think, seeing, not to get all political now, but like seeing, children's limbs torn apart for 3 or 4 years every day.
It must be your algorithm, man. I just get tits. I'm living a great life over here in my box, on my yacht.
In Gaza, like that does affect you in a very deep way, and I'm sure that's partly what Bill's getting at.
Never in human history we had such an instant update to all the wrongdoings and bad things are going on in the world. You can see a video of some atrocity that's happened 10 minutes ago.
I absolutely agree. But I think the way we go about it, I don't know, could have been a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I really liked this lyric. Whatever was the original dream, this machine has become the village guillotine, and free speech is almost over.
Old man
Rambling. Old man media. But no, there's some sense to it. It's there. The village guillotine, it's kind of like who's on the grill today, and what do we hate today? Obviously I'm not talking about grander political, but even just celebrity stuff and all the kind of gossip and sort of, I don't know, insignificant bullshit that people hop on board with and trends and all that, and it's magnified to a point where it's just free speech is almost over, or was probably ended a long time ago, because I don't know, I don't know. I guess we're in that this postmodernism where it's post free speech, and it's like, is saying your opinion even that crazy anymore? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, if you want to talk about free speech, people get locked up in the UK just for saying the words "I support Palestine action." Quite what Bill's.
That's in quotation marks, by the way. Don't lock him up.
Yeah, that's me saying. Please don't take me away. I don't like. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's another point. I was just thinking more from the.
Like, I agree, but like,
I'm talking more from just like the
wholeheartedly.
street justice point of view of just like if you say some shit, you'll get like fucked up on social media. Rightly so in some cases, if you're being hateful. But even then, it depends on your sphere. Like if you've got a circle of people that believe in, I don't know, right wing ideologies, and you post some left wing ideologies on there. Then maybe you get cooed by your friends and family in real life where, for sharing those opinions. And then in other circles, you've got your left-wing ideologies. The inverse happens. And I think it's kind of, we live in a very difficult time to live alongside people who believe completely different things than you.
Yeah.
But also maybe the best time ever. I don't know. It's a lot. It's, I'm
just not...
It's a very difficult subject to take on.
Yeah, like the internet being the village guillotine, I do think there is some, weight to that. There certainly is. I just, I think, like I said again, just a bit old man rambling. Like,
I think it's wise. I kind of agree with a lot of the things he says. And like, one of the closing notes on this song is just because something is doesn't mean it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was still like one of the better songs on the album, I think.
Oh, amazing. I've got the vocalists written down on the next song. We're Lake Winnebago. I put fun little ditty, improvised percussion, another appearance from female vocalist Eve Searles. That's her name. She's great. I thought she really made this album. Like those, like lots of. I don't know, personally I really like the sound of her vocals, and I think they really add a lot of texture to Bill's. So, yeah. Next one, Highway Born, you've spoken about already. It's one of your favourite.
Really enjoyed that.
It has this like vagrant spirit to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of like on the road, wanting to travel and see the whole of the US. I think there is a lyric in it. He talks about how there's a lot of things he still hasn't seen.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Pedal steel, love a pedal steel.
It's a dream of ours on the Old Man Media podcast to go on a road trip in America. A dream that will hopefully one day come to life. But maybe when they sort our shit out a bit more. I don't know. I think we've just got to go like all gas, no brakes.
Yeah. Yeah, we should. We should do
just two like fucking
podcast tour, but we're performing to no one.
Two UK guys just like, no, I think we just do a documentary on the road. Just two like English boys, just like out of their depth in some of in like the deep south. But yeah, no, I would absolutely love to travel America. I don't really like driving long distances in the UK because traffic's a bit of a shit show. You don't really get those long, beautiful stretches of highway where it's open, or maybe this is my impression of it, but it's I feel like a lot of driving through the UK is like driving on like pretty dull motorways, and it's like there's forests and there's sometimes the views are nice, but sometimes
we should do the NC 500. You ever heard of?
No.
It's in Scotland, the North Coast 500 miles. It's a big circle. The North Coast is very pretty, apparently.
Let's do that.
Yeah, driving through the Highlands is also great. Have you ever done that? Amazing.
Should drive to Scotland.
Yeah, it's only 14 hours.
Stay in motels. Yeah, but if you're in America, like that's we're going to be taking turns on the wheel. That'd be so fun, dude. We got to do it. Yeah. On Highway Born, from the interview of Rolling Stones, it says, your lyrics used to be fictional character studies. How much of this new album is autobiographical? He said, recently everything is autobiographical. When he started Smog, he was trying to get into other people's heads by taking the first person perspective. That's why a lot of it was about cruelty and trying to understand how people think like that. There's a song on the album Red Apple Fools called Ex-Con, and it's kind of like a joking, he's like talking about how everywhere he goes he feels like an ex-con, and like how he feels like he's just casing the joint. It's a really good song. I love it. It's a very fun, almost Magnetic Fields-esque kind of like indie pop song. But yeah, he's like, this one is 90% me, very much from the heart. The only thing that isn't true on this album is that he didn't take a chili spoon on his honeymoon, which is a lyric from Highway Born. He goes like, he just says, I took a chili spoon on my honeymoon. But he says that him and his wife very much love chili.
Good to know,
Also,
thanks, Bill.
there is I do there is even I can admit some of the lyrics are a bit over driving on this album, or a little bit overbiding,
Overwrought,
overwrought, but overstepping. But there's this lyric. There's a highway in our hearts that I ride with you. I thought, man, that's pretty. That's a low on a good song. That's a low point for me. And yes, the second to last song on the album, and Dreamland. I think it's okay. I think it's kind of ties together the whole album in a way. There's like themes throughout it. Like, you know, there's like sitting by the side of the road, watching the cars pass in the rain. He starts making whoosh sounds as well, which I thought was pretty fun, pretty theatric. And it kind of brings stuff back. You know, it brings talking about how each car was on this road in the rain was driven by his dad, and he talks about electricity, which, you know, in the first song he talks about like you can't bottle the power, you can't bottle the power, it surges through. And he's like talking about wider men sing.
Yeah, you did quite a good Bill impression, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to get on SNL and see if anyone cares about Bill Callahans. But yeah, like I at first I just thought, yes, it's a surreal dream encapsulating everything on the album. That's cool as fuck. But then in this Rolling Stone interview, he talks about how he was diagnosed with cancer in December or January a year ago, and he had this dream that he's singing about on Dreamland, and he had colon cancer, and he saw a glowing pyramid in his abdomen as a sign that he's going to be okay, because pyramids traditionally have healing powers.
Wait, so it was a dream that he had cancer, or he did really have cancer?
He had really had cancer, but he had a dream, and that dream held a lot of significance to him because it said he was going to be okay, and it had a pyramid glowing.
And he is.
Subsequently, he had an operation, removed, didn't have to get chemo. He is
is he? Cool.
healthy and sound. God bless Bill Callahans. And then the last song, "The World Is Still," talking about. I don't know. Like, have you ever woken up early for work? Yeah, when you worked as a postman.
Oh yeah, I used to work at. Yeah, I used to have to start work at 5.
Currently, I start work at 5. Well, I wake up at 5, start work at 6. But I wake up, and especially like a month or two ago, you wake up and it's the sun. I don't know. I guess they call it dawn. Yeah, I've never seen.
They call it dawn.
I've never seen it before.
Oh, you've never seen dawn? You've never seen the sunrise?
Well, only before sleep. I've never seen it after when you wake up and your mind's in that state,
Really?
and it's like the sky is purpley blue, and then like, yeah, it's beautiful, the stars and the moon, and I woke up and there's a crisp cold morning and the sky was purple and blue, and I was driving and there's, you know, not a soul in sight, not a sound, it's deathly quiet, and then you're driving in your car and then it slowly gets brighter and brighter, and I kind of get that feeling from like "The World Is Still," that last song. It's quite silent and atmospheric, and yeah, I was in the work van listening to this song, and I could hear my co-worker's music through that he was playing through the van stereo, na 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 na, and I kind of ruined my immersion. I was getting into it, I was like sleeping, I was like, oh, this is amazing, and then just heard "All the Small Things" by Blink-182 through the fucking, I was like, nah.
I've got a funny story about listening to this album as well. So I started listening to this album, I think it was on Tuesday, and then I got a message from my manager. It's like, oh, can you come in quickly and do like an hour's work? Like, we're really short staffed and we've got to go. They had to go do their own podcast for some, like, do promotion for the community centre.
Podcast.
And I'd come in because I needed to
You going to shout them out?
I don't know what the podcast was, but it was just promo. Anyway,
I should probably bleep out where we live.
Yeah, let's not tell everyone.
I don't want all you crazy stalkers out there.
And anyway, I'd come in. I brought my laptop with me because there was something I wanted to show her and wanted to run something by her. And I take my laptop out to show her, and then in the room next door is the studio, and there's a group of old women sewing in there. Just in silence, and they're just chatting. And then suddenly Bill Callahans starts playing over the speakers. And basically, remember the night before you came to the community centre, we tested out the projector and stuff. Basically, I'd not disconnected from the projector. And so my music just started playing. And just like automatically. To a bunch of old ladies.
You didn't let it roll?
No, they were like the PA system's on, and then also because they were still filming doing the podcast at the same time. Like they were like, we can't have unlicensed music. You're like ruining it. Like, we have to do this again.
You can. We got away with it.
Do we?
I'm gonna scrap that out. I don't know. We do have like not copyright strikes, but we definitely like Geese are entitled to any earnings we get on the Geese episode because we use some. We use a sped up Nightcore remix.
Is that true? I don't know.
That's what YouTube said. I don't give a fuck.
Oh,
Cameron Winter, you can try and take my
Cameron Winter, please don't
podcast royalties out of my.
Take the £1 worth of ad revenue we got from YouTube.
You can take it out of my cold, dying hands.
I'll take you to court, buddy. But then it happened again. I went and turned the speaker off, went back to my laptop, started doing what I was doing again, and then they just started playing again.
And that's because the old ladies love a bit of
the old ladies love Bill.
The Callahan.
Calamander.
Bill Callahans. Sounds like a trap guy. Bill Callahans. Gonna come and have a gander.
Paul's new solo project.
Devil Man.
His Bill Callahans covering solo project. Bill Callahan.
I just think that Bill Callahan knows who he is on this album. It exudes self-confidence for me. It exudes... He's 58. He knows his style. He knows himself. But he's not completely in his lane still. He's not done with experimenting and pushing the boundaries of his own kind of... and I just don't think many artists could pull off this album the way that he does for me. I just think he lives in his own world and approach to songwriting. Like, it's... You know, he's reinvented the wheel in some ways in some of his songs and the way he goes about things. And, you know, like with the experimental song structures, the lyrics that are kind of, you know, a little bit pretentious, but actually kind of intelligent when you think about them, some of them. You know, and his songs are kind of like expansive worlds. And lyrics, what are like musings, they're very wise, they're very like philosophical. And I just think it all comes together in a way that really resonates with me.
Good. I'm glad. Do you want my closing thoughts?
Yeah.
If I never listen to another Bill Callahan album, I'll die happy. Thanks for listening to Old Man Media.
Thanks.